Thank you very much for joining us on The Key Points. A pleasure to have you with us. Just remember that you can share your thoughts on our topics for today to 055-369-8789. You can also tweet at TV3_Ghana or at 3FM 92.7. You can also tweet at me at Beho Bampo and I'll read it through, and also put your messages on Facebook and I'll read that as well. And this morning we are taking a look at issues that have emerged over the last week with the NPP's electoral calendar. Now, Kwadaso, Menchia North, Kade, Ningo Pram Pram. These are some of the constituencies or areas where there was some chaos and anger over a lack of access to nomination forms for polling station elections. Now, in the Kwadaso constituency, to be specific, the chairman there came under some heat. He was accused for hoarding the forms, and we understand the police later had to intervene as he sought refuge at a police station at Suntreso. So how many polling stations and electoral areas are we talking about? Well, some 38,622. Well, the party, the New Patriotic Party, moved in quickly to quell the growing chaos, the anger, and the resentment. And so they've extended the sale of the forms. Historically, parties in their second term always suffer electoral attrition. So how can the NPP manage its internal party ambitions while seeking to, quote, break the eight? But let's hear Yaobwabin Asamoah, the General Secretary, the National Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, when he addressed the media earlier this week on this issue.
Everybody who is holding an old party card, it's a plastic card that we used before, everybody with that card is also eligible to vote for somebody or be voted for. And then the third level is where you have neither the card and you didn't have the opportunity to write your name, but you're a known activist in the polling station where you belong. So the forms were supposed to be released on the 19th. That should be Saturday, if I'm correct. Yes, so where there were rumors and agitations before Saturday the 19th, really, it's not fair. But once the 19th came, then people rushed forward to acquire the forms. But the forms there's a 3-day window. It's a 5-day window for the entire election process at the local level to be completed. So you have a 3-day window, the 19th to the 31st, for your nomination processes and all that. And then elections will take place in the last 2 days according to the convenience of the constituency concerned. Nobody has told me that a faction is precluding anybody or that the entire party can be precluding one group from the other. You can't tell me that the entire party is aligned to a group that are excluding people who are supposed to be associated with Alan. I'm saying that the interest groups are there, and don't limit it to Alan and the vice president. There are others who are also interested in that election. There is the agri minister, he's interested, and you don't assume that he's sitting indoors.
National Communications Director there, Yaobwabin Asamoah. Well, party chairman Freddie Blay also announced steps they're taking to address these concerns.
The party wishes to emphasize that it has made available adequate nomination forms for the polling stations' electoral area election committees, which are mandated committees for the conduct of the polling station electoral areas elections in the 38,622 polling stations across the country. The national leadership of the party is, per this press conference, directing all polling stations, electoral area electoral committees to make available the application forms to all eligible party members who wish to partake in the polling station elections. It is also assuring all eligible members that the party will take steps to ensure that application forms are made available to them. With immediate effect, the party is also dispatching officers to reported areas of disturbances for fact-finding and investigations, and where necessary, disciplinary sanctions will be applied. The National Party has decided to extend the sale of the polling station application form by 1 day. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. It is also by this press conference directing that all polling station and electoral area election committees to comply with the new extension.
Freddie Blake there. So welcome back to our studios and our guests this morning. We have Dr. Kwame Asante. He is senior lecturer at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. He's also the director for the Center for European Studies at the same university. We'll be joined on phone by the NPP Ashanti region organizer. We'll also take some thoughts about what's been happening in the Ashanti region, because that's where a majority of the issues were raised. And then, of course, we'll be joined by Charles Bisuyo, who is the NPP Secretary for the Western region. Dr. Asante, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for coming in this morning. So it's been a busy week for the NPP with these polling station elections. There's a certain calendar, so they will have the polling station nominations go through, they'll have those elections, then constituency, then regional, then national, as part of their preparations towards the 2024 elections. And then, of course, they'll have the flag bearer contest. I was quite surprised at what some of us have called mad rush, or this happens all the time. Maybe we're now getting more aware.
Yeah, Yufa, thank you, and good morning to your viewers. This is effort towards ensuring that you get to 2024 and get to their place in a good stead. But for you to win an election, there are four things you need to, address your minds to. One, you need a strategy. And two, you need resources. Three, you need messages. And of course, you need manifesto. But one or two that I will touch on as far as these issues are concerned. If you look at strategy, it is one of the electoral strategies that you need to undertake right now if you want to get to the finish line, that is elect your MPs and then you elect the flag bearer. So you need to have this political strategy where you get your men on the ground to be able to occupy certain important positions so that during the election, that is the constituency election, that is the polling station election, regional election, and what have you, once you have your people there, then you can be sure that you have the results that you want. Otherwise, forget it. You are going to be left out of the equation.
How important is it to get it right at that level? Because the question is, this is really voluntary work.
Yes.
So why, many will wonder, what's in it for them?
Yes, you are, conducting this, the next election follows. So once your people get elected there, then when it comes to the national election, election for the MPs and all that, they are there to vote for you. So if you don't get them in place right now, it will be so difficult for you to get the results that you want at the end of the day, either for parliament or for the flag bearership. So that is why they are jostling, there's a mad rush and all that.
But the mad rush happened in Ashanti. How
yes.
so?
Yeah.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. One factor is also that there are people who are dissatisfied with certain decisions of the party, and they want to send a message to the party that we want to get in there and change the status quo. That is one thing that people are also considering. So you will see people in certain strong constituencies. You have other people who have the edge to go there. Yeah, I want to contest and all that. It means that this is a protest decision. They are saying that, look, there are certain things that are going on that they are not happy with, especially with the leadership. We want to change the leadership so that we can have our way. So that is one thing. Another thing is that the party has become so attractive. In politics, all that you need is power. Your ability to influence decision, your ability to turn things around. Without power, you can't do it. So you want your people to be in there so that they maintain power as long as possible. So you want to understand this mad rush from that perspective that, yes, we want to really fortify our base, get our numbers right, so that the right decision will be taken when we are looking for MPs, when we are looking for flag bearer, and at the end of the day, when we are getting to the finish line of voting for whoever is leading this country. So this is the initial preparatory work that they are doing. And of course, they want to also, send message to party leadership that, look, we want to take over. We want to take over and direct the fortunes of the party towards a certain direction. And that is why. So all these are mixed factors that voters or people who want to contest are considering in order to give their best shot when the time comes.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines and speak to Mr. Adumapia, Ashanti Region Secretary for the NPP. Mr. Pia, good morning. Hello, Mr. Pia. Okay, looks like we have some issues with Mr. Pia. We'll try and fix that, and then we'll come back to him. So the other thing, though, I would like to ask is relation to the final outcome. Yeah. Now, we learned that there were purchases of forms by whom we know to be flag bearer aspirants. They've not clearly declared their intention. The Vice President, Baumia, Alan Tremanting, Trade Minister, the Agric Minister, Owusu Akoto, Joe Gate, former Attorney General in the previous administration, and also former Minister for Railways. So those are issues about interest. I'll come to you on that because we have Mr. Pia back. Hello, Mr. Pia. Good morning.
Good morning. I've been on the line throughout.
All right. Sorry about that technical hitch. So first, would you say that right now things have settled in the Ashanti region in respect of the polling station nomination forms getting to everyone and the submissions and the processes for that?
Yes. All the forms that came into our hands were distributed fairly. The numbers were given by the national party in respect of each by each constituency. So we've distributed everything fairly, and all the forms got to where they were supposed to be.
So when do you expect people to finally hand in their forms?
We have polling station and electoral area elections committee for each of the 46 constituencies where we are running elections currently, minus Formena constituency, and each committee is supposed to do what the national party expects it to do. We have guidelines, we give them guidelines, and by the guidelines, they are supposed to collect and when the committee, that each committee would determine. So by now, all of them have collected the forms back, and I don't think any contestant has an outstanding form with the contestant. From my information, all of them have submitted their forms.
All right. Now, there was some criticism of some constituency chairmen accused of hoarding forms. Is the regional executive going to do anything about those constituency chairmen who were accused of that?
If you can point a finger at a particular constituency, then we can deal with it. But what you are saying is a general statement.
No, it's not. So, for instance, in Kwadas, no, it's not. In Kwadas, so we know that the constituency chairman, later on, the police had to intervene. He had to take refuge at the Suntreso police station. The Menchia North chairman for the constituency also was criticized for that. Those are two clear cases where we have reports where I can tell you that there were those accusations.
Let me correct this wrong impression. What I know of Kwadaso is that we have a 9-member committee. That 9-member committee, the chairperson of that 9-member committee is Honorable Gifty Ohinekonedu. The chairperson has to be present before you can distribute the forms to those who qualify to receive them. And if the chairman was keeping the forms, it was not that he was hoarding. You see, let's get this right. There's a difference between hoarding and keeping custody of the forms. Hoarding is where you have to suppose to give out to somebody, and the time comes and you refuse to give it to the person. But when the committee is not full, the committee is not working as a whole, and then you go to the chairman of the committee, my forms, and then the media will take it as being the forms are being hoarded. That is where I get that situation to be a wrong impression being created by people coming from our own and the media as well.
Mr. Appiah, we didn't accuse anyone of hoarding. It is your own party members who spoke to our colleagues live on television who indicated that. But the question is, for those who had issues, I beg your pardon, Mr. Appiah, for those who had issues, will you address them?
This is a conversation. When somebody accuses somebody that you are holding the forms, you take the opportunity to go and ask the chairman, are you holding it? You just took what people were alleging to be the sacrosanct truth. But that's what not to have been the case.
So, Mr. Appiah, in terms of the issues that your constituents, because they are all your constituents since you are the party secretary for the region, in terms of the issues they raised, are you investigating it so that those who may feel aggrieved will get relief? Is that something that will be done?
Well, we've done all that. You see, when there were shortages of form, there's a difference between shortages of form and holding of form. We informed the general secretary, he brought additional ones, and we gave it out to the individual constituencies as well. So, and we are expecting, we are monitoring them. We are also expecting to get reports from them. If anybody goes forward to the guidelines set out by the national party, then we will deal with that person.
Now, in terms of Ashanti region as a whole, one of the things that is certainly very clear is that the party stronghold is Ashanti. For some, is the safest area. If you're able to cross all these barriers, you have a stronger chance looking ahead. There's the issue of potential flag bearer aspirants and them purchasing these forms for the potential people interested in these elections. Is that allowed, that those who may have interest in a future election will undertake a purchase of these forms?
From where I stand, I don't have information as to the potential flag bearer buying forms for the people. But what we gave out, they were supposed to pay 10 Ghana cedis for the forms. And I think that was done fairly. And the forms were distributed fairly according to the number of the polling stations that a constituency has. And we gave it all out to them. If there was anything like a potential flag bearer buying forms, then it didn't pass through me, so I cannot comment on that. As to whether or not it was true or it was false, that one I cannot comment on that because I have no knowledge of that. That was not to my knowledge.
Okay. So, finally, sir, how can we be optimistic that some of the misunderstandings we saw in this process will not manifest itself at the constituency or regional levels when nominations are opened for those? Because this is a test case for what could happen looking ahead in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, we are fully aware of our responsibility as a regional executive. And throughout our elections, from the polling station to the national elections, the most difficult one is the polling station level. And that's why we are trying to manage it in a manner that would not incite anybody's ill feelings. And so far we've tried our best, and I think by the close of the process, everybody will see that there have been fairness to a certain degree. We are human beings, and we cannot strive to achieve perfection, but at least you should work in a manner that those who are stakeholders of the election will see that at least now what you ought to have done. So we are being mindful of our responsibilities. We are trying to achieve a greater degree of perfection, but we cannot get 100% perfection. And as human beings, if you run elections for people may feel aggrieved, people may feel dissatisfied. That's why we have our grievance procedures. Those who felt aggrieved early on brought in their petitions, and we sorted them out. So I think that by and large, we've done what we were supposed to do.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adom-Appiah. He's the NPP's
Thank you, my sister.
Ashanti Region Secretary there, speaking with us via phone. And let's welcome to our studio Mr. Charles Bisiu, who is the Ashanti Region's NPP Secretary in the Western Region. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Trust you're well.
I am well.
Great. So I'll let you settle down. Okay. Let me come to Dr. Asante. So I was asking the Secretary about interest groups who've been purchasing forms. He says he's not aware. It didn't come through his hands. Well, I didn't want to put him in conflict with his chairman, but Chairman Woon, to me, that's Bernard Entry-Boisiako, who is the NPP's chairman for the Ashanti region, had told one of my colleagues, our Ashanti region bureau chief, in an interview, that he had purchased some of the forms, 1,000 of them or so. I'm just wondering, is that not a conflict of interest? This is someone who will potentially contest to hold the chairmanship position. And if other flag bearers, we are told, had also, flag bearer aspirants, in quotes, had also potentially bought across the country, it raises questions about whether they should be doing that.
Yeah, you are right. If what we heard is true, then it means there's a problem with the institutions. And when I say institutions, I'm talking about the rules, the procedures, the norms and all that regarding all these things. I'm sure the NPP have not been able to articulate them clearly to the people that this we don't do in an exercise like this. And that is why we find ourselves in this difficult situation. Another point is that, yes, perhaps they have been educated on that, but except that people believe that, look, this is the way to go. And then on that score, it tells you that the party doesn't have what it takes to stamp its authority on the matter. But if you really want these things to work, you need to spell out the rules of the game and then ensure the sanctioning regime works. And that is what is missing. People who will be caught doing this, I'm not sure the party will have the courage to deal with them, especially if they are big fishes.
But is it a bad thing also knowing that some of the areas are, underserved communities, these are rural communities, and sometimes considering the almost volunteer nature of the work that is done, if purchases like these are made, maybe it really doesn't do anything to change anything?
You see, all these things depend upon the way you handle these things. If you are able to, if you have resources and you want to put it to the use of the party, there must be a known procedure that you do that. Make it available to the party, and then that solves the problem. But once you allow people to do this, you create a chaotic situation. And that goes to undermine the very institutions you have set for yourself. And for me, that is where the problem is. I believe that going forward, the party will look at these things very well and work at it, because otherwise some people will have unfair advantage. Let us remember that in every election, all that you need is what? That political environment which is equal to all. Once people feel that some have undue advantage, they are prepared to undermine the system, and it creates problems for the party.
Let me welcome Mr. Bisiu. You're welcome. Western region was quite quiet, so should I say you did your job very well?
Good morning to your listeners. I think each and every region did their job well. I like it's when you were concluding by saying the Ashanti region is the stronghold of the party. And so the moment you cross that line of the primaries, then you become a member of parliament. So the agitations at something that is something that I was expecting. The competition is going to be keener there, unlike Western Region where we have some swing constituencies, and then once you finish with the internal primaries, you need to actually go and contest with the other political parties. So that's how it is. Western Region, yes, it was quite. We all did the same thing, but we have two different dynamics in each region.
Okay.
But the rules are all the same.
What are the dynamics in your region?
The dynamics in the Western Region is that it's a swing region. Western Region is cosmopolitan, where because of the oil boom, most of the resources being there, we have a lot of people moving in there. So you cannot tell if the person crossing the Beposo Bridge is NDC, PPP, so it makes the job difficult. You going in there to ascertain who is NPP and then who is NDC, and then people also moving out and all that. So it makes it dicey. The other thing is that from time immemorial, it's been one of the deciding regions for NPP. I remember in 2000 when we won most seats in the Western region under Peter McMahon, we won power. When we lost most seats in 2008, we exited power. And then 2016, we won about 8 more seats, which was about 100%. And then we came to power. So that's the dynamics. Ashanti region, 43. We have 47 constituencies, 43. Always MPP. And so when you're managing a party in the Ashanti region, I wouldn't count MPP people. I'll count the other political party, predominantly the NDC. Whereas if you go to the Volta region, I'll count MPP people because that's the struggle of the NDC. It makes it easier for you to actually project.
In terms of these elections, there's a question about whether those who have interest in the elections should be buying these polling station forms. What do your rules say about that?
The rule doesn't say that you are not allowed to buy forms for.
So somebody who is an interested party who may want to be a chairman, national chairman, can come and buy what? 1,000, 5,000 forms for everyone. Okay. I mean, it doesn't preclude a particular group of people. It's for everyone.
Exactly. You mentioned for conflict of interest. I'm asking, what's the definition of conflict of interest? Is it to do with monetary, or is it to do with somebody knowing a certain chief in the polling station, where you can actually induce the chief, for the chief to speak to all those, because he's a more of an opinion leader and a respected person to actually vote for you, but then you haven't actually given money to those who are voting. Is that conflict of interest? So we need to situate conflict.
But conflict of interest isn't always about money, Mr. Bisu.
No. I can actually, if I know you and we're very personal, I can actually speak to you in a way that you can do things for me. Familiarity can also be, quantified into that. Because if we are in a locality, and then if I know you, whom you know, approach, and then if I know you and I approach you, and even because I'm not, let's call it political clientelism, where a group of people actually control things, that's conflict of interest, because you're controlling it because it is going to benefit a few people, where we have cliches and all that. All these are conflict of interest. It doesn't have to be monetary alone. That's how I look at it. So we need to put it in context. Now, I bought forms for people. In political party management, there are 3 things. People use the knowledge, money, and the energy. When you have the 3 things, you're fine. But some might have the money and might not be able to actually do political party work. Where we've had instances where people have come from abroad, some bloggers, they have money, and then they pay through the nose and then win primaries, and then they go to parliament and we have mediocre parliament. It happens. Whereas you have somebody within the community, knows everything about the community, can go to parliament and do a great job. But then because the person is constrained in some areas, the person cannot go into parliament. So you end up having people sponsoring that person. So sponsorship is not something that it's not in our code of conduct. If you're applying for a visa, there's a section asking who is sponsoring you, right? But then you're going in there, you're the one who's going to acquire the visa. So we need to actually explain what conflict of interest per these rules are. Those buying the forms from them, I do not believe that they bought the forms because they wanted to induce people, because 2 people have bought the forms. It's been in the newspaper that Alan Chamantin, the vice president,
No, but I've also heard that Joe Garte, former Minister for Railways, almost everyone,
I bought forms for people
Dr.
as well.
Efrie Akoto,
Yes.
Chairman Wontumi himself admitted that
I did as
he had
well.
bought. You also
Because-
bought forms.
yes, because-
but you are also interested in a party
Yes,
position.
the general secretary. But then the people that you bought forms for are people that you've known in the party. I've been regional secretary for 8 years. I know people in the region and in other areas who can do the party work, but they are constrained. They do not have the money to buy the forms. Yes, I will sponsor that person. It doesn't mean that that person has to come in and vote for me. That's one. I've written something about it. Maybe my mentality is different because during my primaries, and I went for parliamentary primaries in 2010, and there was this gentleman that I recently blocked on my phone. When we were going for the primaries, he came to me telling me that he wanted me to help him rent a place in Agunan Kwanta. So I helped him and I said, the money I am giving to you, it's not because I want you to vote for me. I know that you're following Yankee. And so just be honest with me. So I did it. There were two people. Subsequent to that, they kept lying to me that, no, I voted for you. And I said, no, I did not give you the money because you voted for me. That's how I deal with people. Because if you actually try and do that, then that person is not, you're not imparting anything to those who are following it. So I'm objective in my politics. I expect everyone else to be the same. Yes, within our party, there are problems, there are cliches, people thinking that because we're a group of people, and I call it it's political clientelism, that we are a group of people and we must control certain things. That is not good, because we need to spread it out for that downtrodden person who can actually do the party we're coming, because it defeats the purpose that the person within the polling station, when you go to a certain area, the father, the mother, a whole family are the polling station executives, whereas there are about 700 people there who can equally do the job. But because since 1992 they've been controlling it, that's how it should be. It shouldn't happen. So this primaries that we're going into, you realize that some people might be disqualified, like what you're saying in Ashanti region. People are coming out because it's the stronghold of the Ashanti region. After that, there's going to be more agitation, but I want the agitation to be those who are in the negative. Those who are in the positive. For example, in 2020, if you're a polling station officer and your duty is to actually go and canvass for votes, and you sat on the fence and waited, for us to fill, then you don't have the business being a delegate, because we've also had people who are delegates in their villages, but they live in Accra. So then it defeats the purpose again of you doing the polling station work. So you do not qualify to be a polling station officer in that village. You should be a polling station officer in Accra. So all these things, I believe the vetting committee should look at them and then actually get these people out. It doesn't mean that you've been sucked out of the party. I call it reshuffling. You can have the opportunity to come back when you actually show that you've done some work. Because in the run-up to 2020 election, those who are not polling station executives even work harder than polling station executives. And some have seen it as an area of making money.
So that was the issue I was going to come to, and I think Dr. Asa Asante will help me weigh in on this later, because the reality is that these are the people who will ultimately form the majority of the delegates.
Yeah.
Is that not true?
Yes, they would. Yes.
So it's hard to imagine that there will be no influence peddling.
No,
it's really hard to imagine, knowing fully well that the process is not, realistically speaking, it's not a big national election at a party level.
No, but even in the Western world, elections, you cannot never get it 100%.
Yes, I get
American
that.
results was actually tampered with by Russia, allegedly. So you are not going to get 100%. I even wanted us to say, in the years to come, the voting for certain candidates should be done more like the jury system, where we give them guidelines. If you're voting for a member of parliament, there are checks that you click onto. You fill that form, and based on that, you actually vote for the person. For example, what are the duties of a member of parliament? So if it's the attendance, the committee level and all that, and he's gone there and he's doing great, we've gotten that information, then we vote for him. How many surgeries has he had in his constituency and all that? Putting that together, it's difficult, but
you are bringing the very, very British style kind of
but
politics.
We started with the opaque ballot box. We went to transparent.
Yes.
Now we are using electronic.
Yes.
Now we are using the contours of the face. So we are going to get there. We need to start from somewhere, because when you do that, I'm not saying that everything has to be in there, but at least that would actually let a member of parliament sit up and say, hey, I'm being looked at.
So this is about these polling station executives who will ultimately, a lot of them become delegates. Yes. They should have certain boxes they should be ticking?
Guidelines
to
because
determine.
it's not because the person is handsome or the
or
person.
because the person bought all
Yes,
the
then you don't
phones.
have somebody coming from abroad. If it's brain gain, then let's use it here. But you don't have somebody working in the warehouse for so many years and then maybe wins the lottery in the UK and then comes in and pay people and then all of a sudden the person is a member of parliament. It affects the work in parliament.
Okay.
So that's my point.
All right, I'll come back to you a bit on those who are abroad and coming back, because I know that that's always a sticking point. Dr. Asa Asante, your thoughts on some of the issues he's raised? I mean, is it really the case that there will be no if I know that this person bought forms? Is it really the case there will be no influence peddling at all?
Oh, definitely there will be. But, I can understand him as a party person. If he has not seen, he won't comment on that. So we'll grant him that. But there is always...
No, but that's, I actually went, I explained what my party does and then things that we should do.
Yes, but we are also on the ground, and we have heard things perhaps you have not heard. So that's that's why I'm saying that. But if I come to your point, the issue is that I've told you that for you to win election, you need a strategy. And part of the strategy is that get your people at the right places so that they vote for you. So if there are no rules, the problem here is that there are no rules regarding whether one can buy forms for their delegates or not. So if you want to, address this problem, there must be clear rules and sanctions accompanying that, so that whoever breaks it, you are sanctioned.
Or there should be a process where if it's the national executives that are managing that process, something goes to them and then they deploy it down.
Yes, that's what I said earlier on, that two, you need to also tell us that, look, if you have resources, you can, give it to the party for the party to manage on behalf of everybody. Then that one, people don't feel disadvantaged with the process. But once you don't have all these things, you have people who would definitely, come in and cause what we are seeing. So for me, it is lack of what the institution, what we call in political science institution, rules, regulations, and procedures and all that. If you are not there, then I have opportunity to do anything because I've not flouted any problem. But I think that the way forward to this problem is that, one, we need a rules and regulation regarding every move of the party, because that defines the process and it creates the enabling environment, equal playing field for everybody to contest. Once you do that, it will help us. We also need, I was so surprised to see them struggling for physical forms. What has happened to the digitization, Dr. Baumia has been saying, it must trickle down to the party.
But Dr. Asante, we are in Accra imagining this. If you go to my hometown, Voja, there's no internet there. How loud
who thought we were going, a time will come that, market women will use mobile phone to sell things. Nobody thought of this early on. But gradual, you can pilot it, all right? Start. Some places, we want to start with e-voting. Remember, we started thumbprint ballot boxes, thumbprint ID card and all that. And we started on pilot basis. And we got to where we are. So NPP can move in there so that you reduce the incidents that we are seeing, the ugly spectacles that we are seeing. It doesn't bode well for the party at all. And then we need strong sanction regime. Once you spell out the rules, then you apply. Irrespective of whoever is caught, you apply the same whip to that person. Once you begin to favor, or you begin to be light on, or you treat people with kid gloves, you have the recurrence of these things. And these are things that undermine the party processes and procedures. And of course, some of these things, as I've told you, are out of what? It's protest. That there are things, the status quo within the party, I'm not happy, especially in this constituency.
Is it possible that in Ashanti, and you can correct because you've been doing research there, I know that the Ashanti region for the 2020 elections, there was a certain target vote that the NPP was looking for. I can't remember the figure, but they didn't really get that. The NDC, on the other hand, improved their fortunes there. Is it a reflection that truly there's some unhappiness in the region?
So. Because you saw Chairman Wuntubi before 2020 election saying that he's going to capture, I think Ashanti region is 47 seats, and he's going to capture almost all right? Yes, events took a different turn. we saw that the NDC, which had always, from 1992, has been operating around 27%, moved further. And that really caused a stir in Ashanti region. Because for MPP, once you begin to decline in terms of what your votes that you acquire, you are in difficulty. So the party people are not happy. So there are areas that they are not comfortable with the electoral processes and the structures there. So they want to correct that. And that's why you see people struggling to get forms and then go and right the wrongs. Because take it or leave it, the party has been attractive to its members over the years because they've won power and they've done certain things in this country that they believe that they need to maintain power forever. Let us remember that the political party's aim is to win power and run administration of the state forever. So anytime they get opportunity, they want to what? Continue to hold on to power. So you see, they've come out with a slogan that breaking the eight. They want to move on. I don't have a problem with that because any political party which believes that, look, I want to, prepare the grounds another time, I'll look for a seat. That you are not a political party. You are just joking. But a political party, you need power. I want to grab power. I want to maintain it as long as it takes. And that's what they are doing. I don't have a problem. But we need the rules because once you don't have the rules there, you allow people to do anything. And that will not augur well for the unity of the party, which you need so much when you are, especially you are in a second tenure, that things are not easy for you. And there are a lot of differences that may come up that if you are not united, it can throw the party into disarray.
Yes, Mr. Bisu, you want to address some issues?
Yes,
I don't
yes.
want to. Okay, so go ahead.
From what
Dr. Asante
is saying, there are rules. On the 27th of November, the National Council of the party met and spelled out the rules to this, what we're doing now. We work in a human institution. Everybody wants to get in there. I'm seeing keen competition out there. If everything has been quiet out there, I've been worried.
Okay.
People want places, so they would go for it. I'm happy that people are not actually pulling out machetes and all that, hitherto, which was the case. I've seen in the Western region, it's been quiet because people are using the grievance procedures. People in the party know that they've been educated to the point to know that, to the extent that if you do the wrong thing and then you take the party to court, it would actually, then you're on your own.
Yes, I think that one of the party's rules is that if you don't exhaust internal procedures and you go the legal route, you will be disqualified and probably even your membership would be forfeit.
Exactly. So there are so many things that went into it. 2020, because of the agitation and the zeal to break the eight, people are fighting for places. People believe that we have to break the eight, so I want to be there. I can do better than, and that's healthy. If the constitution is healthy, then it's fine. The point that he's saying that, just to establish that point that there are rules that we are all following. I wouldn't be sitting here this morning if the rules are not working. I have to come here because I know that I pick up the phone and I check what's happening. A few things are sent to me and I make sure they're put right. So we've done that. National Council, so let's give respect to that. If we see people pulling out machetes and fighting and doing other things, then it's and if you're organizing polling station elections in about
33,000.
38,000.
Yeah, 38,000. That was the number.
Yes,
38,000.
And then you get, out of that, you get about 5, examples of problems. Then
it's not that bad.
Yes, but we'll still manage it. But these things have to come in there for us to get examples of it to actually manage the rest, which we're doing. So you realize that the day was the General Secretary came out and extended the day, the National Chairman, for one more day because of what we're listening to what was happening on the ground. So the rules are there for us to follow. Doc saying that we should go electronic. That if we go electronic, that would not defeat the purpose of somebody buying the forms for somebody. There are agents, the parties all over the place. You see. And so
explain, I didn't get that point. So if you went electronic, it doesn't defeat the purpose of people buying the forms.
Yes, if I paid for a few people to buy forms, okay, and that person wants to buy the form and you go electronic, there's a way of paying for it, isn't it? So there's Momo. There's so many ways of sending money. So it doesn't actually defeat the purpose of you buying the form for a person.
But doesn't it defeat... Going electronic will defeat a potential constituency chairman or executive
the forms.
who is deploying the forms in a tactical manner. Because if the form is sent to me on my phone, or if I can access it on the NPP's online platform, then there's no executive there controlling the process.
No, the rules are that if you go to the constituency level and you do not get the form, you go to the regional level, and then so there's an avenue for that. If you go electronic, maybe an NDC person can even print the form and actually present it. You understand? So if you're going technology, there has to be ways. Maybe a code from your chairman or from the committee. That is why a committee was formed, the 9-member committee, to look into that. So if you're printing the form from out there, it's like buying. Previously, I go to Bank of Ghana to pay for my visa fee, and now you're saying that I should use a Visa card. I can still go for somebody's Visa card and pay for it. It hasn't changed. So all I'm saying is that I agree with him, but we have to find a fine way of actually dealing with it and say that, okay, if there are rules that we shouldn't buy forms for people to do it, to actually contest, then it's another matter. But then, looking at the number of people who are going in there, and then you go to certain villages, somebody cannot even afford 10 cities. So we have to come in and help. Helping the person, it behoves on the person. If you want to be a leader, then you don't have to influence the person to actually vote for you with money and all that, because eventually the highest bidder might even end up taking you out. So there's a way of doing it, but I just wanted to reiterate that there are rules. On the 27th of January, the party I recommend, we brought the rules out, 38,000 polling stations, and the problems you're having, I don't think it's so significant that it should be a case for alarm. We've actually used that to actually manage what is happening. That is why the deals were extended. And I believe that as we're going on, and then the vetting is done and all that, but if you preach skirt and blouse in your constituency, you don't have a business being a polling station officer.
If you are aware of someone who preached skirt and blouse in 2020,
yes,
because there were lots of skirts and blouse, will they be targeted at this time?
You don't have a business because
how will you even know?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's based on evidence. You understand? And then within the they said, 1, bring your party card. Number 2, somebody vouches for you.
That's a given. But I am interested in this perspective you've brought is quite interesting. So if someone pushed for skirt and blouse, which declined your fortunes and led to this near split parliament that we have, for instance, if they want to contest, they should be smoked out.
Yes. Why? If the party brings out a candidate and the party says, this is the candidate that we're all following, it is not the person who's going, it's the party. So the moment you work against the party, the constitution says you automatically what? So you've moved the Kotoko and hats, and then you said, now I'm wearing a Kotoko shirt. The party doesn't even have to call you and invite you from Kotoko to come for a disciplinary committee, so long as there's evidence of that. You understand? But how do you get the evidence? It can be pictorial, and within the polling station, it's up to about 800 or 1,000 people. Everybody knows everybody. And then when they're doing the house-to-house campaigning, they knew, the people within the community knew those who participated and did not participate. So there's a fine line between that. But then I am only saying that if you did that and you followed an independent candidate, you sat at home whilst others were going and people have come in campaigning for your position, I don't think you have a business being there. You can be reshuffled and then you come back later on and then actually find a place within the party, because I believe there has to be competition at the grassroots
Just a little bit more on that. Supposing somebody wants to get another person out and they accuse so and so of promoting a skirt and blouse thing in the polling station or in that constituency, how will you know?
That would be an evil person with an evil mind.
Oh, so but you can't tell. No, so you said that this is a human institution.
So that's what I'm saying. There's a fine line between it. You see, you can't actually, within the community, there are people in there that can come and then you actually look at it. There are grievance procedures where the party can go through it. But if you sit there and then you say, because I hate this person, I will not allow him, so I'm going to lie against the person, you're automatically working against the party yourself. You're the person who lied. And there are rules to that. The party's constitution says you should promote and project the image of the party. And this is somebody who can actually work for the party and then maliciously you go and lie. You don't love the party. So all these things, I mean, if I'm sitting there and you bring this before me, I'll deal with them I mean, as it has to be, and I'll be assertive.
Dr. Asa said the really interesting perspective he's brought, because I think the issue of the skirt and blouse is one that caused the party in the last election. So it's interesting he's raised it, because then they have to take measures against it for the next one.
I know for all parties they have those rules.
Okay.
Because that is a way to say that you are against the party. Because once the party has put forward a candidate and you are campaigning against the party, you are out. But these things must must come out as part of the qualification for somebody to just go and pick the form. So if this, before you go and pick a form, you say, these are the rules. Have you done this? Have you done that? That. Then the person is automatically disqualified. He doesn't even go near picking the form at all, because there's a body that will scrutinize before you come and pick the form.
But the Constitution does that. It's spelled in the Constitution that
yes,
if you work against the party.
But will each person be scrutinized in that manner? It's unlikely.
See, once
these are lots
you
of
allow
people.
them to pick forms, and then how are you going to discover them for what you are talking about? Somebody is going to vote for me and all that. But there must be, before picking the form, there must be a criteria, whether you have met the criteria. This you have not met, so you can't even pick a form from the word.
Okay, Doc, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to go to University of Cape Coast.
Yes.
They said a certain course that I'm going for, they said second class upper is the minimum.
Yes.
So I will assess that before I go in.
Yes.
The party has said that in the Constitution, you do not work against the party. You know you've done it. The Constitution, which guides us all of us, and then within that, in each election, we draw whatever guidelines pertaining to the exigency of time from the Constitution. You should know that what you've done is wrong. So you wouldn't even have to go there. So the first thing is the Constitution, which is there.
You are relying on someone's integrity.
I will go there.
Or purported
Even though
integrity.
I have campaigned against our candidate, I will go there. If there are no rules to prevent me from not going, I will be there. But there must be known rules preventing us that, look, you don't qualify to even pick the form if you have done A, B, C. Because once those people slip through your fingers, I'm afraid people will vote for them.
Yeah, but they won't. I have instances.
Yeah, but we can move on. We can move on. He said that the election that we are seeing, nobody pulled a gun and all that. We saw destruction in Ashanti reading, and we heard a story that a gun was pulled in one of the constituencies. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not sure about
I heard it, but I didn't see the gun.
But I saw on TV destruction in some of the NDC. These are part of violence.
There were some assaults
that nobody is interested in. Even one is bad enough. Even
if it's negligible compared to the 38,000.
Once you allow that one to stay, it emboldens people, and people learn from that. The next time they don't get their way, they resort to violence. I'm not saying that is the scheme of things of the past. I agree.
No, previously it used to be rife. Okay, now you're having one. You think the party leadership is going to? We're going to do it.
No, I am not saying the party is interested in that. No party will be organized along violence lines. No.
You see, that's when, after all these incidents, the party hierarchy sat. That's when the national chairman came and said, this is causing the problem, so let's give an extension of a day.
Yes,
so there has been a management responsibility.
We have a responsibility of, pointing this out to you.
Okay.
You will take it on board and work with it. If you think that is a small in such a way that it can be glossed over, we don't have a problem.
No, I'm not saying it's been glossed over. I said it has been dealt with.
So will you sanction those who were engaged in whatever violence?
Yes. It's not in my region.
And then
not your region.
And then the issue of people buying forms for others and all that. You see, it creates unequal playing field. Yes, because there are some people that we have not heard their names. Take it that they have not even made an attempt to buy for people. Those people are disadvantaged because they were not able to as it were, influence on people in that way and all that. But we are saying that going forward, what you can do is that you can ask party members that if you have resources, give it to the party. The party will find a way of sponsoring those who don't have the means. I agree that if you go to some of the constituencies, there are people who cannot afford even the little fees that you charge and all that. People must support them. Let it be known. Once it's known and people internalize that processes, they don't have a problem. But once it is not written, then people know that, well, I can do it, I cannot do it. It creates all manner of problems. Okay. And then going forward, I think you'll be able to address these things and then we get it on board. But Jifa, I was coming to a point that, you see, you are seeing this because the party has been attractive. Because all the political parties they need is to win power. So once you're able to win power for them, you are in government. You have done the first tenure. You've done a lot of things for the state, and people are proud of all those things. There will be that edge that, look, let me also be part of that success story the next time around. So from that perspective, you cannot, fault them, because there is that, drive that, look, I want to also be part of the winning team and all that. But how we manage these things is the issue that we need.
So you want it written down so we all follow it.
It should be codified.
The lawyers will tell you.
After all, the NPP.
How do I know that I have broken any rule? If it is on your lips, it's in your mind, and it's on your heart. I will not know. If it is written, then I know that these are the do's, these are the don'ts.
Okay.
Make it clear, educate people on that.
Okay.
Then whoever crosses the line, get the courage to sanction that person.
Okay. Quickly,
it's not only coming out with the rules and regulation, but have the courage to deal with those people who cross the line.
I get your point. So we're growing as a political party. We're all growing. We're, solidifying our political base. So you want it codified. Okay, that's it. That, like me being regional secretary for 8 years, most of the party people, they know the rules. You understand? That's what I'm saying. It is.
They know the rules by convention, or
no, the constitution. They know it
by the constitution.
So, for example, when you say somebody is in a good standard, how many people? I haven't paid my dues for quite some time, but it gets to a point that I do some in a lump sum. But then it requires that you pay your dues every month to support the party. Is that good standard? Whereas somebody who in 2020 didn't even do the house to house, was sitting on the fence, is that good standard? So it's a wide area. That is why in every elections, I agree with him that we have to have guidelines. Maybe it's a learning point. Yes, we'll spell it out. But then, when you spell it out, we are dealing with political animals. Yeah? When you spell it out like this, the person is going to come out and say, no, because this one, you did not do it, I am doing it. So that's why we rely on the constitution. The constitution is saying that do not work against the party. And there will be forms, because if I'm going to sit down for each election and come out with guidelines, then I will say that, okay, this person went for this person's girlfriend and the party abolished that. So then
all that I'm saying is the constitution is nothing. It's part of what? The institution, the rules and regulations. So you can just print it, just to continue
I agree with you.
Yeah. Educate people.
Look, I agree with you.
Yes.
I'm saying that the constitution guides us. But then if you write it in that manner, we will try as much as we do. But talking to you now and then thinking now, I'm thinking that when you write with political parties, that the party that have people that have dealt with, when the thing is spelled out there, they say it's an iPhone. The next day they say, but you did talk about Samsung. So they narrow you down, and they're clever people that you're dealing with. So normally I rely on the constitution to say that, okay, your conduct is what the party's constitution about, and they know that.
No, I am not saying that just pick any rule and bring it out. No. What you have, perhaps the people are not aware of, continue to educate them on. Okay. There are places that you have no rules, like, I can pay for forms for people who support me. You have not written this thing down for anybody to know. So I can decide to fund, or I can decide to do otherwise. But we are saying that if you want to create an enabling environment, which is equal playing field, put it into writing. That yes, if you have resources, you can fund anybody. Then when I see party chairman buying form for some people, I will not consider it as influence peddling, because it's part of the rules of the game. Let it be known. Once it is known, those gray areas, we come out with rules regulating the conduct of people there. We are good to go.
So I believe that would be under the Political Parties Act. Maybe we have to look at
that.
How you want to define
we'll come back
that.
to that. Let's take a break, but let me read some of the messages that have come through. This one from Daniel from Sunday Man says the NPP government has taken our democratic process for granted. They have not been acting lawfully in some instances. You've not given examples. You need to be more specific when you are making that kind of accusation. This one from Farouk in Tamale North says MPs in their constituencies are hijacking polling station elections to enable them penetrate their way through. Farouk, you've also not made specific instances. At least we have mentioned names of constituencies where there were issues, or constituency chairmen who were accused, or even those that are said to having a foothold in the process. This one from Garba Tamale. NPP members are rushing for the forms because some of us feel that wrong people are choosing leaders for the NPP based on the resources they can offer without taking into account the competency of an aspirant and the party's entire interest. I'll suggest to the NPP to allow all card-bearing members to vote for the leadership of the party. Musa Abatwa in Kumasi writes, what's currently happening is the political machinations to the advantage of one presidential aspirant. Why is it that the stronghold of one presidential aspirant had this unprecedented shortage of forms? Well, that has been solved. This one from Steve in Takwa. NPP internal party elections can be worrying. He mentions Western region, Takwa in Swayam precisely, where the incumbent MP and the constituency executives try to hijack the forms to prevent others from getting them. I would like the national executives to look into this. So luckily, at least we have someone from there who can give us a point on that. Baba, chairman from Tamale, says there must be a level playing field for all to contest in any of the elections, so that if there are people who are perceived to be deliberately hoarding the forms, that must stop. And Abdul Razak writes, I don't know the reason why people can be loyal. I don't know the reason why these people are too loyal to the party's constitution, yet they are not doing the right thing in their regions. Thank you very much for your messages. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll address the issues of areas where there might be an independent presidential, an independent member of parliament, and how the party will deal with that, and foreign-based members of the party and how they influence the process. Thanks very much for staying with us here on the key points. So now, during the week, we saw some agitations coming from Fomena. It was almost as if they were preempting what may happen. And the criticism was that they are hearing that there is an effort to impose the current independent MP for Fomena on them. What is the party's plan for an area like Fomena where people will contest? Okay, so just hold that thought. I'm told we have Ben Efson on the line. Okay. Let's quickly speak to him so we don't lose him. Good morning to you, Mr. Efson, and thank you for your time. Hello, Mr. Efson. Okay, looks like we don't have Mr. Efson on the line. We'll try and get that. Hello, Mr. Efson. Good morning.
Good morning, Jifa.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Trust you're well, sir.
Yes.
All right. So
good morning to your panelists and yourself.
Thank you. So the New Patriotic Party has started processes for its internal party elections, and from the discussions we've been having, the party is looking attractive, and so many are trying to get a foot in, to contest the polling station levels, and later we will see this at constituency and regional, national, and then flag bearership. First, what's your assessment of how things have gone? It's been good, or the little pockets of violence means there's still work to be done?
Thank you, Jifa. I believe that if you look at the two main political parties, in the years that they will have to elect flag bearers, such elections, the tempo goes up, because the polling station executives are the base. From that, they elect constituency, they elect regional, national, and all these cumulatively elect the flag bearership. And for them, it's kind of their political cocoa season, money-wise. So it is more hotly contested. Somebody will have to get the form to be able to contest. So there'll be fisticuffs, some of the past stories you hear, a chairman will say that he forgot it in his child's school bag, the child has gone to school. A few slaps and the form surface. So I've not been too surprised, bearing in mind that the NPP will be electing a new flag bearer for 2024 to replace President Akufo-Addo. So yes, I think that the party has extended the date for closure of taking forms. And I think that they can move a step further by saying that, look, if you go to a constituency office and you don't get it, you should be able to go to the region or somewhere. Because post this one, it happens more in the NPP than the NDC. They should be able to curb the way constituency chairpersons become 10 gods when it comes to elections at such levels.
All right. Now, are you happy with how the party has managed it? They moved in quickly, and like you indicated, they've even extended times for submissions and all that. Happy with how they've managed that process?
Well, I think extending it is one thing, and I believe that the party, if it's well structured, they should be able to mitigate the anger and, let people go to where the reports have been more occurring, and let people go to the various constituencies with forms. This will break the back, so the party can announce that they should now be better channels of communicating. WhatsApp groups, phone calls, that the following constituencies, maybe within the next 3 days, officers from the national or regional will be visiting there to distribute forms. When that happens, it reduces a bit of the tension. And they should give them a sign that if even Jifa collecting forms to fill, to contest, is so acrimonious, what will happen to the voting and declaration of results?
Now, one of the things we saw this week was some constituents in the Fomena constituency beginning to preempt issues. They claim that steps are underway to impose the current member of parliament on them. I think it's Honorable Amwako Siama. What should the NPP do about Fomena MP, who is an independent candidate who comes historically from their stock? In other parties, I think in the NDC, if you forfeit your membership, it takes you almost 4 years before you can contest another election. I think that is the rule in the NDC. The NPP, I'm not sure.
Well, I think that the NPP needs to repay the faith the independent candidate has placed in the party. Because if you look at Fomena, for example, the Fomena chairman has since 1992 virtually made the position like his economic venture. So this MP was able to scrape through, even though he was kind of disqualified and ways were done. I think the party should find ways and means. Yes, there should be an election Fomena, but the party should bring its weight to bear on those who are going to vote, that without the independent aligning with us, their lives in the legislature, the running of government would have been very difficult. But he is the one who casts the tie, the vote that breaks the 137. So I think that following the tenets of democracy, there must be, yes, an election, but there must be ways and means of the party also facilitating the victory of the independent candidate in Fomena.
Finally, what would you want the party to do looking ahead to all the contests? I mean, they've indicated there are guidelines, but it looks like there are lots of gray areas as well. So, potential aspirants for any position may purchase forms for people in the party. There's no rule against that. There might be concerns about influence peddling, who is holding resources, who is taking advantage of their current position to project themselves. I'm just wondering what would you tell the party as they move ahead? They've dealt with this for now, but there's still a lot to do ahead.
Well, I think the forms cost 10 CDs. I know that some of the potential flag bearers, some have paid. So there's a region like Ashanti, I know 4 or 5 flag bearers who said they paid for all the polling station forms in Ashanti region, for example. Some have paid. In addition to Ashanti, they paid for Central, the Swing region, Greater Accra, and so on. I think that the party's caution is important, and I think that by announcing you've paid for all, those flag bearers, potential flag bearers, should not forget that the polling station executives, some of them, that's what they've done as their second job, in addition to being farmers or traders. So you saying you paid 10 CDs for him does not mean that if I am going to get his vote. 4 people would have paid for him anyway. It's the party chairman who may benefit from the balances that they've got. But clearly, one of the things I'm happy to defy is that arising from 2020 elections, the results in Parliament tells you one thing, that the average Ghanaian voter has become so sophisticated that if you take him or her for granted, you collapse when the votes are counted. That's my only advice to the flag bearers. That don't think that buying 10 CDs form, you are guaranteed the votes. You know, I remember, I'll mention the person's name, when somebody was complaining that he paid 5 million, 3 million to some delegates, amounting to 5 million and so on. Yes, you paid maybe 5,000 each to a number of delegates. They are not stupid. For 3 years before that, somebody had been helping them to pay school fees, Christmas, giving their wives clothes, and so on. So you wait till voting and you give them 5,000 each, and you are angry that they don't vote for you. It shows that you, the politician, you are belittling the intelligence. So yes, the flag bearers should be a bit circumspect. The delegates notice their cocoa season, and they should bear in mind they are going to mock them. So they better prepare their pockets to fast.
All right, thank you very much, Ben Efson, managing editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Thank you, and he's also a pollster. So, Mr. Bisiu, what's the NPP going to do about the independent candidate in Fomena? Ben Efson tells us that he's done a lot for the party, and so it's payback time.
Yeah, I mean, the party hierarchy hasn't met yet. But for me, each case of once you go independent, you forfeit your membership of the party. But within the context of that, what triggered the person from going independent? And we've had the case of Joe Seusu, who's now the first deputy speaker. So we have precedents for that. And it's like Mr. Ben Epstein was saying that the chairman has been entrenched since 1992. So the party would have to delve into it and see what really happened. But then, if the party, the constitution says that you should promote and project the image of the party, and this is somebody who's gone out, forfeited his membership, and is still projecting and promoting the image of the party, then it's I think it's an avenue for him to be
to be reinstated
into the party's fold, because we need to look at each case on its own merit. What triggered that member from going as an independent candidate? And we, like we said, the chairman has been there since 1992, and we all know the things that happened. So I believe that going forward, the party needs to look into it.
But to the extent that some party members are already agitating, it means there are people who have their eye on that seat.
If you go,
they haven't forfeited their membership.
You know, if you go to Nsawam prison and then you ask that we want to vote for all criminals to go out, all criminals out there will vote that they want to be out and join society. You understand? What I'm trying to say is that yes, there might be a few people who are on the other side of another candidate. For example, this internal polling station things that we're doing, we have potential candidates who want to contest, so they are following the process. to give competition to the incumbent MPs and all that. In the same vein, we have people sitting up in abroad, sending money that I am interested, so I'll become. And as a person who's doing that, the person might be sitting in a warehouse somewhere doing something, and the person is tired in the United Kingdom or the US and just wants to come and then actually do politics. And I've always said that there's three ways, things that I see to go into politics. If you want to make a political statement, one goes in for money, others go in to serve, others also want to power to lord over people. It depends on how you are going into it. And as opposed to people who are sitting abroad who have the expertise.
Does your party have rules about nurturing constituencies before anybody who may be coming from outside can contest some of these positions?
We need to look at it. I was a member of the party in Ghana before I went to the United Kingdom. And then I became the chairman for Northampton. So I was active in what I was doing and all that. As opposed to somebody who would also sit there and think that, okay, I'm going to Ghana one day to do politics. Let me join the political party. All these things have to be looked into. But I'm looking at it in totality that those who were, actually agitating that this man shouldn't come back, the independent candidate shouldn't come back to the party, what is their benefit? Because in Parliament, this man is working for the political party that you have joined. You understand? That you are a member of. And you want the party to do good things. And you want the party to stay in power. Now it's 137, 137. When it comes to, the nitty-gritty of it, he comes to your rescue. And you're telling me that that person shouldn't work for you. Then it means that you are rather working against your party.
So the party needs to engage these people at the constituency just to give them a sense of what's at stake.
But nobody should take an entrenched position and say that, no, he should never come back. Because every rule, the constitution, there's the letter of it and there's the spirit of it. And I'm talking about the spirit. The person went out because something did not happen. He, as opposed to somebody who goes for primaries and then loses the primaries and then says that, no, because I lost the primaries, I'm going to be an independent candidate. That you shouldn't be forgiven. But then, if the certain machinations got you out, and then you went out there, you won, and you're still serving the party, and you've become the savior of the party, just like Joe Osei is the first, Speaker of Parliament now. These are precedents for us. So I am looking at the rule in the Constitution that says promote and protect the image of the party. If you're sitting there and that person is actually saving your party in Parliament and you're telling me that that person shouldn't be brought to our fold, you're working against the political party.
Yeah, Dr. Asante, interesting case for the Fomena MP. I'm sure he'll now start having to think about what to do.
It's a very interesting one. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the party will handle it. I'm sure they will be able to rise up to the occasion. But it's a difficult text for them. Why am I saying that? Because here you are somebody who stood against the party. Remember, the president was not happy, and the president was right, because the position you took was at variance with the rules of the game. So all the party machinery was moved against him and he won. And today he's the savior of the party. Yes. For positive side, he's promoting the interest, because he would have decided to even join the NDC. But because he loved his party, he came back supporting his party. Fine. So even outside NPP, he's promoting the interest of the party. Brilliant. But somebody will also ask you, yes, I can also go independent and also support the party. But you need the party to be in whole. So if somebody goes out that way, it's another difficulty. But I know the party can reflect on it and come up with something that will be meaningful to all the followers, so that people don't feel disenchanted and all that. It's a difficult one, but I know they can rise up to the occasion. Yeah.
And before we wrap up on this segment, I cannot wrap up without asking you about Dom Kwabenya constituency, Sarah Adjoa Safo. So I will let the MPP man take the final word on that. So let me ask you, what do you make of, it's been an entire week of Adjoa Safo, and the fact that she seems to be leveraging what is her power. This is the largest constituency. She's delivered 75,000 votes in the last elections. She's improved the fortunes of the party in all her terms. How should the party and the government proceed? Because we can't we can't verify claims that the chief of staff allegedly paid money for her to come back. A private jet was allegedly set to bring her back. She's not been coming to Parliament. In fact, the opposition have even kind of tongue-in-cheek been saying that, in fact, she's been the biggest threat to e-levy approval as opposed to even their opposition.
Jifa, there are a lot of facets as far as this issue is concerned. But you see, democracy hinges on rule of law. Rule of law has two components. Equality before the law. That all of us are equal before the law. And that any treatment you give to one person, the same must be meted out to another person when the same rule is crossed. And then that is what, equality before the law and then due process. That whatever you do, you need to use the rules of the game. So if you look at the rules of the game, once you cross 15 sittings in Parliament, it means that you are out. That is clear. So are we saying, you heard Mr. Speaker saying that, those rules, the 15, I think Honorable Kujato, they've checked the proceedings.
He said others had also been violations.
Yes, they've crossed the 15 mark. And once you do that, then the process must be triggered to inform Electoral Commission for by-election and all that. You see, the difficulty is that once people cross the line and you are not able to sanction them, when others cross in the future, it becomes difficult for you to handle that situation. So that is where the difficulty lies. But apart from that, the rules are clear. Once you cross that 15 sittings threshold, and that without permission, you are out. But people also are looking at the fact that, look, he's a woman, he went to maybe have a baby or what, I don't know. Yeah,
they said that what we know is that for health reasons, she's currently unavailable.
And all that. It becomes another issue for the party. But see, democracy, you don't work on that. You just use the rules, because otherwise you create opportunity for others to come in. We have heard a lot of allegations that he said, oh, he wanted to be the deputy majority leader.
That was a position she held previously.
Yes, but I find it very interesting. Why? Because currently she's a minister of state, and I'm sure he's a cabinet minister. Is he the case?
Yes.
Right. If you're a cabinet minister, why do you want to be a deputy? Does he want a demotion? You get what I'm saying? Because in politics, you climb the ladder, but you don't come down. All right. Once you're a deputy and now you have been moved to what? A minister. You've reached the zenith. So why are you coming down? What is it that he's finding difficult to comprehend with her ministry? Is there any problem that is confronting her there, that he wants to abandon a ministerial position for a deputy? These are the things that we must be interested in. All right. That why is it that you are a cabinet minister? A minister, everybody in politics want to become the best in terms of what? Promotion and all that. And you have hit the highest. And now you said, oh, I want to come to the lower position. Why? That's for me.
So for you, the narrative doesn't sit well.
No, it doesn't sit well. Then we must investigate that. All right. And then, is it the case that some people can dictate to the party that put me here? What about the person who is already in that position? Deputy ministerial...
deputy majority leader.
Are you saying that the person must be thrown out? And that if you don't get that, you are not coming to the party? If those things we are hearing are anything to go by, then there's a certain difficulty. We need to look at all these things. And
the party chairman has spoken that her support is unflinching and that they can assure us that she is not doing anything to sabotage the party. That was what Freddie Boulay told us here some 3 days ago.
Oh, but that one we can expect from a party chairman. Yes. You can't destroy the woman straight away, given the fact that he has contested, won the election. He has paid her dues in the party and all that. There's this problem. And that, you see, because of the e-levy, all right, you need this woman always around. and you don't have a, of course, her constituents also need her. And then if you balance all these things, it becomes so difficult for the party to handle. But apart from that, the case is straightforward. Professor Kweku Azar went to court on a similar issue, and the judgment is there as to what the party can do. It's very clear. And the Constitution also gives us a clear picture. If you cross the line, this is what you...
So the rules should be applied.
The rules. You see, democracy goes with what rules, the rules of the game. Once you cross that line, it becomes difficult for anybody to bring any emotional argument and all that. We agree that as a woman, we need more women in parliament, and we want to strengthen the gender base and all that. But the issue is that, has he crossed the line? And if the answer is yes, and then all these other arguments become secondary. Let us remember also that the people in the constituency also need her, because you are just not a member of parliament, but you are their rep. You go and hold daba and listen to their concerns and bring it to the floor of parliament for parliament to deliberate on. It's your duty also to listen, take government policy there and go and explain to people in your constituency. So you have a lot of duties that you need to do. If you are unable to do without explanation, without any message to them, then it becomes difficult as to how people can accept it. But I believe my advice is that the party must reflect on it carefully, and then even if they want to trigger the process and get it out, you make sure that you don't create seed of discord within the party, and then you do it in a manner that doesn't injure her so much.
Or injure the party as well.
And then the party's image, But I'm sure the people in the party know what to do. They'll be able to manage or weather the storm, so that at the end of the day, when they trigger the process, they'll be able to get somebody who will stand in the constituency and win the seat for them. Because if they contest, if they declare it vacant and election is conducted, they don't handle things well, and that one slipped through their fingers, then they'll be in okro soup.
Mr. Bisio,
Okay.
very delicate situation the party finds itself. When I spoke to Nana Obribwahin, I think 3 days ago, one of the things he said was, we must apply the rules of natural justice, and we must hear from her. And that until we do that, we should not make a judgment of her. Her spokespersons have spoken once or twice, Dr. Mwakuba, I think. We take it that she has given him permission to do that. But how's the party looking at this?
Okay, first of all, the party hasn't come out with an official communication, neither the government. So every discussion that we're having is actually what is out there. You see, I will tackle it from the first point, that she was on a leave of absence on health grounds. So first of all, on humanitarian grounds, I'll look at that and then ensure that she's actually fit for to come back to work. The second thing is that the 15-day rule, I understand that that hasn't been communicated to Parliament. And I have a problem. I do not know what went into the 15-day rule, where a member of Parliament who's actually been voted to represent a certain constituency can be absent for 15 days without informing the authorities. Because within my political party, NPP, if an executive is absent for 3 meetings without reason, you
face sanctions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the party can actually take you out.
We don't know yet fully about what the parliamentary response.
Yeah, but they said 15 days without notice.
Yes.
Okay. So it means that
has to be fully set and confirmed.
Exactly. So I can be absent for 10 days. Okay. Come back for 5 days and go for another 10 days. That's productive hours. I do not know what went into the 15. So they need to look at it. If I sit here and say 5 days, 10 days, I do not know what I'm talking about. What went into the 15? Let's look at it, because a member of parliament, if the person is sick, I believe there's an avenue for that. If the person has traveled outside of the country, there's an avenue. So the rules must be spelled out, because I cannot say and conjure and say 5, 10 days. I need to know what goes into the 15 days so that we apply that. Now, I spoke about the humanitarian bit, where the government came out with a communique to say that she has leave of absence. So we need to ascertain if she's fit to come back. The other thing is that we all have a responsibility. The moment you go and then you actually avail yourself for people to vote for you, people stand in the sun and queue and then vote for you as a member of parliament, then you have a responsibility. And there's something called opportunity cost, where you actually have to forgo certain things and there's a state to run. At this point, there's e-levy. There are other things that has to be passed. Here she is out there. We do not know. That's what I'm saying with emphasis on the humanitarian bit. If she's really sick, then it's a different matter. But if she's not, and then holding the party to ransom and the government to ransom, that one I beg to differ. The other thing is that you see...
And your final point on this.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. You see, asking for a deputy
majority leader position.
No, it's a big position because there are three arms of government, executive, legislature, and all that. So if she's the deputy majority leader, and it means that the whole party in government, she's the deputy there. It's not like a deputy minister position. So I am looking at it from that point of view and then seeing that Afenyo Markin is doing excellently well. So there's something called division of labor. You are serving in the ministry. At the same time, you've been a deputy before. So there were people there before you came. So you asking that somebody be moved, I do not believe is true. So I think that the party, we need to look at it from another point of view. If she's not well, then so be it. But if she's well and then she's actually holding the party and government to ransom, then she has a responsibility to those who voted for her and the government and all that. For example, my wife is a member of parliament. She, for 3 days after delivery, she had to come down and pass the e-levy and leave a baby with a stranger. When she was about to go, they told us that it's been extended. So I had to go home, travel, and then go and take care of the baby. There's an opportunity because you cannot have it all. So all I'm saying is that the moment you avail yourself to serve a certain purpose, then so be it. And there should be other avenues. Saying that, it means that if she's really ill, then there has to be some sympathy for her.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And that ends our first segment here on the key points. Many thanks to our guests. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the situation in regard to the Ukraine-Russian crisis. We'll be right back.